Hey guys, so it's me, Nicolette Mashile, and today I want to talk a little bit about prescribed debt. But remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do consult somebody who is certified and registered with the FSCA. So let's jump straight into it. What is prescribed debt? Before I get into all that, so I've been receiving SMSs, I think, for the last couple of years. I think one of my friends used me as a contact when they were getting a cell phone. Is it a cell phone or a phone contract with one of the major telecoms companies in South Africa? And basically, I think I was the contact there, and now they cannot get hold of her. So they've been sending me these SMSs. Hello, Miss Whoever. Please can you pay whatever, right? And the SMS goes along the lines of, if you do not pay this within 24 hours, you will be blacklisted and judgment and whatever. So it's saying a whole lot of legal things, and when I read it every single time it comes in almost like every single month. I just get threat. That's all I see. I see these red flags of threats, right? So I thought to myself the other day, let me actually check how long they've been sending these to me. And to my surprise, they've been sending these to me since 2014. Right. So these SMSs that are directed to her have been coming in for the last 4 years, basically into my cell phone number. That then reminded me of something, and that is what we call the Prescription Act in South Africa. Basically, because of the National Credit Amendment Act, it now says that creditors cannot, number one, sell your prescribed debt to anyone, inclusive of debt collectors. Because you know what usually happens is that what they would do is they will have this delinquent loan book or credit book where they probably have people owing them over, let's say, 20 million rand, right? And what they will do is they will go and sell this to a debt collector, and a debt collector will probably buy it at like maybe 2 or 3 million rand, hoping to recover from all these other people that owe this original company. So I'll give you an example. For instance, with her, the telecommunications company will sell her prescribed debt or her debt or their debt book to a debt collector. Hence why what you will find often is that whenever you get the letter or the SMS that says your account has now been handed over, it's never generally coming from the person that you actually owe, right? It's always coming from basically like another company that your debt has now been sold to. But now the National Credit Amendment Act says that companies, creditors, credit providers can no longer sell your a prescribed debt. But what is prescribed debt? Basically, debt kinda has an expiry date, and that is kinda, so take that with a pinch of salt, because this is in no way saying you should not pay your debt and wait for prescription to take place. So basically what it says is that if you have not paid a certain debt for the last 3 years and they have not been able to contact you, and you have not made any payment arrangements, and when they do call you, you do not acknowledge the fact that that is actually prescribed debt and proof that it's actually prescribed debt, it means that that debt is now prescribed. Basically, that's what it means. After 3 years, you cannot make any payment arrangements. You cannot acknowledge that debt. In actual fact, they should not be able to get hold of you. And third, but most importantly, you have not received summons or there is no judgment on your name for that debt. It means that it becomes prescribed debt. So when they do call you or they send you these SMSs, you can literally say to that company or whoever is calling you that I will not be speaking about this debt because it is now prescribed debt, and please stop calling me. If they do continue to harass you, what usually should happen is that you need to call the credit ombudsman, or you can actually SMS them. They do respond, and their number is 44786. You send them a text and they will call you, and then you will need to lay down your story. But remember, this is in no way encouraging anybody to stop paying the debt, because ultimately it will hurt your credit profile. And if you still want to be able to access credit in this country, it is very important that you do pay your debt and you pay them as efficiently and as you've contractually agreed to pay them, and as well as possible, right? But the credit, what the Prescription Act was actually created for, generally it was to protect both the credit provider and the consumer. And I'll tell you how it protects both of them. So it protects the credit provider, that it says that the credit provider has a responsibility to also make sure that you pay your debt on time at the right time, right? So basically, If they've given you a certain period to be able to pay your debt, you need to make sure that you paid it within that debt, because you've contractually agreed to pay your debt in that specific time, right? So it's also their responsibility to make sure that they do remind you that you need to pay, especially if you do not pay and you start going into arrears. And within the first 3 years of you perhaps defaulting on that, they then need to send you summons. They need to summons you in terms, or raise a judgment against your name, so that they do recover their money, because at the end of the day, they are a business and they do care about their bottom line. On the consumer side, how it protects you against credit providers that will wait and they will sit out. Let's say, for instance, you owe them 200 Rand. Can you imagine what 200 Rand will look like when you add interest over 10 years? So they cannot come back after 10 years and say, oh, by the way, Miss Mashile, you owe us this amount of money. No, they're not allowed to do that, because the accrued interest just on that 200 Rand would be enormous and ginormous. And it's actually a very, very lucrative loophole for them to use to be able to charge you more than what you actually owe them. So basically, the Prescription Act is protecting both the credit provider and the consumer. But again, it is not a remedy to stop paying your actual debt. And remember that not all debt gets prescribed after 3 years. Generally, things like home loan takes over 30 years to actually become prescribed debt. Also, any type of government or state-related debt will take a little bit more time. Things like your TV licenses, rates and taxes. SARS does not prescribe debt after 3 years. So please, these are things that you need to be aware of. So generally, this video is for somebody who is feeling like they're being harassed and they like literally are being sent SMSs every day and they are being abused, but also for those people who are blacklisted due to prescribed debt. So please, guys, go look at your credit reports, look at the debt that you are actually, or the debt that they make reference to when they are either blacklisting you or listing you, because blacklisting also is just another thing that just doesn't make sense. Any type of credit or debt that has been prescribed cannot be used to actually blacklist you, because it has become prescribed debt. Thank you. Remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do consult somebody who is registered and credited. Thank you. Mwah.